If the Celtics are not going to commit multiple defenders to Luka Doncic, and Luka is not going to go off, as was the case last night, and the Celtics are going to just continue to take away the corner threes and those lob dunks that we saw in the Western Conference Finals,
Yeah.
the Mavs are cooked. Man, oh man, are they cooked.
So you had him at 6. You had Celtics in 6. I got him at 6. What'd you have him at?
5.
I'm going 5. That's my biggest takeaway. And watching that game the entire time, I think the Celtics are the better team by far. And you look at Indiana, in that last series, they ran with you. They shot better. They just don't have the personnel to keep up with you. When you got your health and your starting 5 and all that weirdness before the game with Porzingis, is he going to go? He's supposed to start. Then he wasn't in the starting lineup. And then he goes off. And I also thought, you know what? Brad Stevens might get the MVP of the finals if they win for the team that he's assembled. Because it feels like that team 2 years ago maybe blows that game when, what was it, a 22-9 run they went on? The old team would have blown that.
I have a question about the Celtics last night. Which Celtics player didn't at some point match up with Luka? Because he had everybody on him at a certain point in the game. They were not afraid of guys getting switched onto Luka. They were not afraid of Al Horford covering Luka. Peyton Pritchard covering Luka.
Everybody.
Sam Hauser.
Yes.
Who, by the way, I think had a great game. We can talk more about Sam Hauser last night.
Yep.
Sam Hauser is back, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank God.
Hauser, Pritchard, Horford, of course, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. All of these guys got switched on to Luka, and last night he gets 30 points in the game. But do you know how many shots he had to take to get his 30 points?
1 million.
26. Yep. He needed 26 shots to get to 30 points in the game. And if that's the way this series goes, then the Celtics will wrap this up sooner than I thought.
Yeah, especially with Kyrie, the way he played last night. He was off.
He could have changed the game, and he didn't.
He didn't. He had, how about the wide open threes? Defensively, I think throwing balls out of bounds, the turnovers. I expected him to have a bigger game last night. He didn't.
McKone, what do you got?
It was the wide open threes during that Dallas run on top of it, too. So they cut it to 8 in the third quarter. But if he knocks down a couple of those threes, that looks totally different. I just think the talent gap in this series is too dramatic for the Mavericks to do anything. I think that's the biggest takeaway. You can talk about Tatum, Brown versus Kyrie and Luka, and that's great and everything, but the supporting cast for the Celtics is in a completely different class than this Dallas one right now, and I think Luka can go off, and he can get 35, 40. He got 30 last night. I know it wasn't efficient, and I don't think it's going to matter. I think this thing's going to be over real fast.
And on a night where Tatum isn't his best.
Yeah.
Like, you could go out and blow a team out like that, NBA Finals, and Jason Tatum, really sort of a non-factor, especially early in the game.
And that's the difference between these two teams, right? Tatum can have an off game, and the Celtics can still win comfortably. If Luka doesn't have an all-world game, Dallas doesn't have a chance.
Okay, Kristaps Porzingis.
Holy crap.
Last night. Not in the starting lineup. When he wasn't in the starting lineup, what was your thought?
He had a setback.
He had a setback. Right. He's going to be limited. They're not going to get as much out of him as they wanted to. And then he has what might be the best game of his life.
Really? It was unbelievable.
Have you ever seen someone dominate a game the way he did for the stretch of time over 6 minutes or so?
No.
Have you ever seen that?
Nothing like that.
In an NBA Finals game, a guy coming off the bench, okay, because he didn't start. He's coming off an injury. He's coming off the bench, and then he comes in and absolutely dominates both ends of the floor. Was unbelievable. You thought it was either a setback. You thought, okay, they haven't been able to knock off the rust, or he's not going to be able to handle the minutes, or, right?
Yeah.
He's going to be laboring a little bit.
He looked like he was laboring a little bit, like a defensively.
I think later on, maybe he was.
Yeah.
Right? He hasn't played minutes. He hasn't played games, so he's got to get back into his game shape.
I got nervous there because, Cedric Maxwell and Scal both said if you got a calf issue and you're in pain, you can't play. You can't run. So then you're thinking, okay, he's in the starting lineup. And then I like the way he came into the arena.
He looked pain-free, man.
He looked like Drago, man, coming in.
Yeah.
Place was amped. He embraced it.
He was Drago on the treadmill when he came into the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Right before the fight. When before Drago got beat, right? Maybe later in the game he was Drago in the ring, but Drago on the treadmill was Kristaps Porzingis.
Oh, he's awesome, and everybody's going to
next level.
Everybody's going to talk about the points, but defensively, I thought 2 blocks early. The rebounds he helped you with defensively, like his all-around game last night was out of sight. Out of sight.
I mean, that stretch in the first quarter, and obviously it was the big run, but he knocks down the big three, then he blocks the shot by Kyrie that leads to the Hauser three. I thought the roof was going to come off the Garden. It was unbelievable.
That building had juice. A lot of juice last night. It was great.
Sure did.
It's good to have a game and talk about it. Like, damn, excited to come in today.
But the thing I think you're about to hit on is that third quarter when they cut it to 8, and all of a sudden the Celtics make plays in that third quarter. You heard Jaylen Brown after the game say that's when the game started. And he likes how they responded. And I think you've got to like how they responded. Third quarters for this team are a little bit problematic, as they have been. And I think some of their sloppiness may have started at the end of the second quarter going into the break. Yep. Where they had some less than stellar possessions and some Tatum bricks.
Not so
is
great.
What they were.
Yeah, but like to your point about him too, like everything else he does, he's going to get credit for it, but he's having an off night. And Doris Burke in the broadcast, I mean, it's still like the pump the tires. The guy had an off night, but he was good offensively, passing the ball, playing defense.
His
he
turnovers,
did the little things.
though.
Yeah.
His turnovers,
are
and he took full blame for that after the game. It was one of the first things he said when talking to Lisa Salters. He said, I turned over the ball too much. That has to, I can't do that.
You think he was tight?
No, I didn't get that sense. I really honestly thought last night that Tatum was less assertive but was doing it on purpose. Almost like it was part of their game plan. Yeah. And Jaylen Brown had a number of great plays. He was great in this game. Brown was great. Porzingis was great. And Tatum was okay. He wasn't bad. I wouldn't say he had a bad night. The turnovers are a major issue. You can't have that. But he wasn't bad. I thought he was still rebounding. He was still playing defense. I thought he was still facilitating. He still opened things up for guys offensively. I think those things were still happening.
Yeah, it was just scarier, like because Al took a couple shots early. Mm-hmm. We were texting on our thing, like, has Tatum touched the ball yet? Derek White threw up a couple, and you're like, Tatum has not touched the freaking ball on offense. And what was it, 136 in the first quarter when he scored? Like, that's too long. You got to get him going early.
All right, we got more to get to on this game. Game 1, reaction. Porzingis, Brown, Tatum, Drew Holiday, Kyrie Irving not being able to save his team. I want to talk more about his performance last night and the crowd getting on Kyrie, and Luka Doncic needing 26 shots to get to 30 points, and the Celtics never double-teaming him in this game and letting just about anybody in a Celtics uniform cover him. They should have let Lucky the Leprechaun go out there for a couple of possessions.
Guillermo.
Let Guillermo go out there in the costume and cover him for a couple of possessions and see how it goes. We've got plenty more to get to on this game. Celtics 3 wins away from a title. If you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.